Hello Planeswalkers! Andrew here, bringing you a Superfriends deck that also features the friends and allies of the Superfriends. The commander of this deck is a modal double-faced card, Mila, Crafty Companion on one side, and Lukka, Wayward Bonder on the other. Mila is a legendary white fox that supports Planeswalkers by putting a loyalty counter on each one if at least one of them is attacked. And they also draw you a card whenever an opponent targets one of your permanents. Lukka, on the flip side, deals more with creatures, discarding them to draw, sneak attack, as well as giving you an emblem that's basically Warstorm Surge. So needless to say, this deck runs a lot of Planeswalkers, and while I could have just stuffed in creature good stuffs, I decided to be more thematic and put in creatures that reference the Planeswalkers we run. So let's go over the Superfriends first. We run 4 varieties of Ajani: Steadfast, Inspiring Leader, Strength of the Pride, and Wise Counselor. I also went and picked Planeswalkers who support creatures in one way or another, so these Ajanis buff your creatures and heal you for how many creatures you have. Basriket can buff a creature and give it indestructible, double your current creature count, or make an emblem that makes a 1/1 and puts a counter on each of your creatures on each of your turns. We run 3 kinds of Elspeths: Tyrell, Knight Errant, and Sun's Champion. Each of these makes 1/1s, and between them they buff your creatures and protect you and your permanents with board wipes and indestructible. We have 5 Chads: Sword Chad, Trial Chad, Ally Chad, Martial Chad, and Kid Chad. And these boys love becoming indestructible creatures, let me tell ya. They also love to buff your party. We have 1 Nahiri, the Lithomancer, who makes creature tokens and token equipment, and 1 Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, who makes creature tokens. Sarah the Benevolent can give your party flying, make angels, or make it real hard for you to lose the game. Chandra comes in 3 flavors in this deck: Awakened Inferno, who puts ouch emblems on your opponents, Fire of Kaladesh, who particularly likes burning things, and Torch of Defiance, who lets you impulse draw, can add 2 red, or burn things. We also run the original Lukka, because we have to, and he also plays well with creatures, and can help your creatures hurt your foes. It wouldn't be a red Superfriends deck without Sarkhan the Masterless, who can turn all your Planeswalkers into 4/4 flying dragons for the turn. We also have Fireblood and the Dragon Speaker, who both make dragons. We've got 2 Huatlis, Dino Knight, and Warrior Poet, who can make dinos and buff them. Lastly, we run both Ugins, the Ineffable, and the Spirit Dragon. They generally just produce good value, and the Spirit Dragon is great removal. On to the creatures, who are related to our Superfriends, beginning with Ajani's Boyfriend, who gets a counter whenever you gain life. Basri's Acolyte has lifelink and puts counters on up to 2 other creatures when he enters. Elspeth's Devotee is really only here for the reference. Gideon's Company gets bigger whenever you gain life, and they can put loyalty counters on any Gideon Planeswalker. Patagia Tiger is the tiger that we see on Lukka's first card, and they can buff a human when they enter. Sarah's Ascendant has lifelink, and as long as you have 30 or more life, they get +5/+5 and flying. Chandra's Embercap is a mana dork, but only for Chandra. Sarkhan's Whelp hits something for 1 whenever you use a Sarkhan ability. Sunblessed Mount searches up Huatli Dinosaur Knight when it enters. Lastly, Scion of Ugin is just a flyer with no other abilities who looks like a washed out Ugin. Our next set of cards are non-creatures who reference our Planeswalkers, starting with Ajani's Welcome, which gains you a life whenever a creature enters your field. Elspeth Conquers Death is removal, defense, and recursion all in one. Godsend is the spear Elspeth used to wield, and it exiles a creature blocking or blocked by the equipped creature. Oath of Gideon makes 2 1/1s and gives your Planeswalkers an extra starting loyalty. Nahiri's Machinations makes 1 creature of your choice indestructible on each of your turns. Oath of Chandra acts almost like a Perforos God of the Forge, but for Planeswalkers, hitting each opponent for 2 for each Planeswalker that entered your field on each end step. Blackblade Reforged is the sword Gideon inherited that grants the equipped creature +1/+1 for each of your lands. Shadow Spear is Elspeth's new spear that grants lifelink and trample and can turn off your opponent's permanents hexproof and indestructible. Our other creatures and creature support cards come up next, with Akroma's Will, which can give our army one of 2 sets of 4 keywords, or all 8 keywords if our commander is out when we cast it. Akroma, Vision of Ixidor, which packs 4 keywords and grants all your creatures +1/+1 for each of an assortment of keywords during each combat. Archangel of Thune gives your creatures each a counter whenever you gain life. Giver of Runes can give another creature protection from a color or from colorless for a turn. Impact Tremors hit each opponent for 1 whenever a creature enters your field. Skyline Despot makes you the Monarch, and on each of your upkeeps it makes a 5/5 Flying Dragon if you're the Monarch. Warstorm Surge hits any target for damage equal to a creature's power when that creature enters your field. On to our general support, we have Archaeomancer's Map, which searches up 2 planes when it enters, and whenever an opponent plays a land, if they have more lands than you can play a land for free. Grimaz, King of Ereskos, makes 1/1 tokens for blocking and attacking. Path to Exile is a great removal spell. Scholarship Sponsor lets everyone who has fewer lands than the player with the most lands search for any number of basics less than or equal to the difference when it enters. Swords to Plowshares is another removal spell. Bolt Bend, Deflecting Swat, and Wild Ricochet all let you redirect spells. Arcane Signet taps for either of our colors. Maskwood Nexus can make a 2/2, and more importantly, it gives all of your creatures all creature types, which is useful for our Super Friends who only deal with specific creature types. Soul Ring is Soul Ring, and lastly, we have the Chain Veil, which hurts us at the end of each of our turns if we don't use a Planeswalker ability, but it does let us use 2 abilities per Planeswalker per turn. For our lands, we run Myriad Landscape, Temple of the False God, Battlefield Forge, Clifftop Retreat, Inspiring Vantage, Rugged Prairie, Sacred Foundry, Spectator's Seating, as well as 17 plains and 9 mountains. And that wraps up the deck list. I didn't go for a win con necessarily, although playing a ton of planeswalkers and creatures is generally a pretty okay strategy. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and maybe subscribe. Leave a comment letting me know what you think. With that, have a great day, y'all.